And we're live.
All right, good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of College Pride Press Game Day. Today we are back. We have Sean and Tyler, as always, my two co-hosts. We also have my fellow bracketologist, Jonathan Warner, on today, something I am very excited about. And tonight we're going to be discussing more bubble teams, the Big 12, and as always, the top games from the weekend ahead. So let's just get right into it, everybody, and we'll start off with the introductions. We'll begin with myself. As always, I am Noah Holly, a 14-year-old intern for collegepridepress.com. I cover bracketology for the site and Virginia as well. All right, let's get to you, Tyler.
I'm Tyler. I'm a freshman journalism major at Seton Hall. Big Seton Hall fan. So we have a big weekend coming up. We take on Butler on the road. Then the Big East tournament gets underway. So it's the best month of the year. I'm looking forward to see what happens.
Absolutely. Sean?
Yeah, I'm Sean. You guys have heard me from the Game Day podcast in the past. Yeah, I'm excited for this month. I was even in school. I was watching the Big South tournament, Liberty and Radford, two teams I have never seen before play or know any of the players, but that's just the month of March for you in a nutshell. No matter who's playing, it's college basketball, and that's all that matters. So I'm excited to get into it. I'm excited to see what's in store for the college basketball in the next month, and also for the site. We got a lot of good stuff going up, so make sure to check out that.
All right. As are we. It's absolutely the best time of the year, everybody. All right, Jonathan, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Jonathan Warner. I'm a freshman at the University of Kansas, and I'm looking forward to this month. I'm buried in a bunch of resume sheets right now, looking those over. So it should be a fun month.
All right. So you all know the drill. We're going to start off by each picking a bubble team and, explaining what they need to do to get into the tournament and breaking down their resume. We'll start with you, Tyler. Which team did you pick, and what are they looking like this season?
I'm going to take a look at Seton Hall for, I think, the third straight week. And honestly, the reason for that is I feel like every time that we come on this podcast, their position is different. The first time that I was on, you're talking about Seton Hall in terms of their resume, they didn't really have that signature win. They had to beat Creighton and Xavier, and now here we are. They survived DePaul and Georgetown barely, and now they have a chance to go on the road and get that signature win at Butler, which, quite frankly, I don't really see happening. I just don't see it in any way. This team has been very inconsistent as of late over the past two games. Almost blew a 20-point lead to DePaul. Ishmael Sanogo's not really healthy. That's a big thing defensively for us, and I think Butler's going to have no problem exploiting that. But I think if we are able to beat Butler, Noah and Jonathan, I'm going to let you guys pour more insight into this because I'm not really sure. Would you say that Seton Hall would be a lock if we were to beat Butler on the road going into the Big East tournament?
Yeah, I'd say they're definite lock. Even if they don't win at Butler, they're in pretty good position.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think maybe a win in the Big East tournament would be helpful for sure if we're not able to beat Butler. But I like our position that we're in right now. We avoided the bad losses, which is what I've been preaching on this show for the past 2 weeks. Avoid the bad loss, avoid the bad loss. And they've done that. So I'm feeling pretty confident about their position right now, regardless of what happens at Butler. And I just think the Butler game is just a chance to lock us in, really.
Yeah, no, for me, Seton Hall is no question in right now, but they just have to avoid a bad loss. Even if they do lose to Butler, if they can just, avoid losing to a team that is outside of the current bracket, then I think that they are going to be a lock for sure. All right, we'll get to you, Sean. What is the team that you have picked?
All right, so my team is the Illinois Fighting Illini out of the Big Ten. As we know, coming into the year, people were kind of expecting Illinois to be a little bit better than they have been. They had a lot of talent: Malcolm Hill, Maverick Morgan, obviously, and Tracy Abrams, who seems like he's been there forever, but he's their sixth-year point guard. And they started off 4-0, playing cupcakes, and then they lost an embarrassing one to Winthrop at home in overtime, which was kind of had people pessimistic about how the rest of the season would turn out. And then they go into Big Ten play. they're 2-2, and I saw them play. I was actually at the game on the 14th against Maryland when they had, I think it was maybe a 10-point lead or something like that, and they just absolutely blew it. And at that point, I thought there was no way that Illinois would have any chance to make the tournament. But here we are now. They've won 5 straight against Iowa, or excuse me, 4 straight, or 5 out of their last 6, starting with Northwestern on the road, which is an impressive win considering Northwestern is a lock at this point in the tournament. And then they lose to Penn State at home, which is embarrassing. Uh, Penn State is not a very good team at all, but honestly, you should not be losing to a team like the Nittany Lions at home. And then they go on to win 4 straight at Iowa, which is always a tough game. Northwestern at home by 16, which is awfully impressive. And then Nebraska by 17 on the road. And then last night was their biggest win of the season for sure against Michigan State. Malcolm Hill at 22, and we all saw his emotional speech after the game. But really, if you would have told me at when I went on January 14th that Illinois would even be considered an NCAA tournament team, I would have told you you're absolutely crazy. Because looking at where they were 13-11 and 3-8 in the Big Ten play, and now they're 18-12 and 8-9, and then they go into Rutgers on Saturday. They have a chance to be 9-9 in the Big Ten and 19-12 overall, which is, in my mind, I think it'd be good enough. But I'm not an expert at like this, like you and like Noah and Jonathan are. But so I'm gonna ask what you guys think about them, Illinois as a whole.
They need a win in the Big Ten tournament for me to be completely sold on them. Where they're at right now, they might be like my second or third team out, but they're definitely in this thing, and that's what matters for them right now. We'll get to you, Jonathan. What is the team that you have picked, and what's going on with them?
Well, I picked the Syracuse Orange. I think they're in pretty good position right now. They're in my last 4 buys currently. They're an 11 seed right now. But the thing that's really holding them up is a 6-7 record versus top 50 RPI teams. If they can just avoid the loss at or against Georgia Tech this Saturday, I think they're in pretty good position to make the tournament. So that's all I have on them right now.
All right. So the team that I have picked is Xavier, and Xavier is a really interesting team to me right now because, around like early February, we thought no way that they would be in this position, like the bubble team that they are right now. But they have lost 6 straight. It is unbelievable. They sit at 18-12 now. They still have a solid RPI at 36, but when you really look at them, their resume really isn't much. Their best win is on the road against Creighton, but other than that, they don't really have true signature wins of note. They do have some solid wins like Wake Forest and Seton Hall and Providence, but I mean, I don't know. So I think that Xavier will get in because I think that the committee will see past this losing streak, but you really never know. So their next game is on the road against DePaul. That is this Saturday. And I would say no chance that they lose that game, but you never really know right now with Xavier. They are not playing good basketball right now. So if they lose that, then you really have to be concerned for their tournament hopes. We're concerned right now. So right now, I honestly feel like Xavier needs a win in the Big East tournament for me to consider them a stone cold lock. I think they're in right now. I have them as a 10 seed, I think. But, I mean, this is just a really interesting case because, the Musketeers are a really difficult team to assess. I am very curious to see how the committee will handle them come Selection Sunday. All right, so we're going to move on to the next segment, which is obviously discussing conferences. And this week we are going to be doing the Big 12, which is probably the most competitive conference. I mean, you could obviously make a case for the ACC as well, but the competition has been outstanding in the Big 12. There's just no easy wins for anybody. Every team is capable of beating the best team. But so we're going to start with you, Sean. What are your thoughts on the Big 12 this year?
Yeah, I mean, I've never really been sold on the Big 12 in the past, conference-wise as a whole, but really this year it's been impressive. Obviously, you have Kansas who won, I think it's 13 straight now, Big 12 championships, and then Iowa State who's in second place, who's really turned their season around a little bit. They kind of had those midseason struggles, but they've been playing really well. West Virginia, obviously, we've kind of seen them underperform recently. I'm I'm not really. I love the idea of the press and how it really makes teams uncomfortable. But honestly, West Virginia, I don't know. I could see them making a deep run, but then again, I could see them losing, not even making it to the second weekend. It's kind of a bold take there, but really, I don't know if they have.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's day and night with these guys. They'll either be world beaters and beat a team like Kansas, or they'll lose to a team like, or almost lose to a team like Texas Tech at home. Yeah, and really, it's just you never really know what you're gonna get with them. And then Baylor as well. I think they could either be a second or not even a first, not even make it to the second weekend or make a deep run. It all kind of depends on matchups. And then Oklahoma State, obviously, they've been playing really good ball recently. Have very good shooters, which is very Phil Forte, obviously Trevor Cooney Jr. But yeah, I mean, as a whole, I like the Big 12 a lot. I think you could have a team. I think you could have maybe, depending on matchups, 3 or 4 possibly in the Sweet 16, and then maybe 2 in the Elite Eight or something like that. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a Final Four team, or a Big 12 team in the Final Four, or possibly even win a national championship.
All right, Tyler, let's get to you.
And Sean talked about a team like West Virginia being either day, and I think that's really this been the story of this conference for a lot of these teams. West Virginia being one of them. You have a team like Iowa State who found themselves at 14-9 at one point. They were on the outside looking in a while ago, and bang, 6 straight wins over a bunch of quality teams. They're second in the conference, and they're a lock for the tournament. You have a team like Oklahoma State who kind of struggled under their new head coach in the non-conference schedule. They get going in Big 12 play. They're 20-10. They're going to be in the tournament. I think in terms of bubble teams with that, it's very interesting. You have Kansas State, Texas Tech. I'm not really sure what their outlooks are. I think Kansas State's going to get in. I think TCU did themselves in last night. They needed that win. I think they're done at this point.
They are.
Yeah. Looking at that, I'm looking at them right now, 0-6 against the top 25. It's not looking promising for them.
And you also have Texas Tech, whose RPI is in the 100s, and then Texas Tech is a pretty darn good basketball team, but their resume is not up to par. And
they're 6-11 in the conference.
Also, their non-conference strength of schedule is like close to dead last. It's 342nd overall. I think it's crazy. So I don't know. I would be stunned if they were to get in. But anyway, we'll get to Jonathan now. What are your thoughts on the Big 12 this year?
Well, obviously, the Big 12 was won by Kansas. They're a legit Final Four contender. Then you got really 4 teams right behind them that are battling it out for second. Oklahoma State's kind of fallen behind on the race for second, but Iowa State and West Virginia this weekend battle for the 2 seed in the Big 12 tournament. Then you got a team like Baylor. They've been struggling recently, but they picked up a good win against West Virginia Monday night. I could see them making a Final Four run. They've shown well in the past, not recent success, but they've gone to a couple Elite Eights. Iowa State, they can shoot the basketball in it. That's a dangerous team come the NCAA tournament. West Virginia is a team I wouldn't want to face like in the round of 32 or Elite Eight with only like 1 day of preparation. Oklahoma State, they were 0-6 to start Big 12 play. Now they're 9-8 and perfect position to make the NCAA tournament. That's my take on the Big 12.
All right. So continuing the Big 12 here, continuing the Big 12 theme here, we're going to jump right into the previews and start with Iowa State traveling to West Virginia. It's going to be a Friday night contest, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. We'll start with you, Tyler. What are your thoughts and prediction for this one?
Well, first off, we're actually getting a good college basketball game on Friday night. That's a shocker.
I know.
But this is interesting. Is that Iowa State was red hot coming in on the road to play West Virginia, where they're very good in that press. This one's really a toss-up with the way Iowa State's been playing. I think normally I would take West Virginia in a situation like this at home. But we've seen West Virginia kind of be vulnerable at certain points. And so Oklahoma went in there and beat them. So if I had to pick right now, I think I picked West Virginia on our weekly picks, but I think I'm going to go Iowa State. I love the way that they've been playing. They're a well-rounded team. I think they have what it takes to come in there and knock off West Virginia.
All right, Jonathan.
I'm going to go West Virginia 72. I think it'll be a game. I just think the home crowd at West Virginia, emotional night there. I think they pick up the win, but I think it's a very close game and could go either way.
All right, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for this guard matchup with Monte Morris, Deontay Burton, and then you got Javon Carter and Tariq Phillip. Obviously, two of the top backcourts in the Big 12 and the country. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Tyler. I think Iowa State somehow finds a way to win this one. If you got guards, the guards you want to lead your team against a team like West Virginia is obviously Monte.
Those are the two that you want.
Yeah, exactly. And then once those two break the press, as we've seen, when you break a press, obviously you got open shooters all over. And then you got Matt Thomas, one of my favorite players in college basketball, obviously, as you guys have probably seen in the group me. But I'm excited for this one. I think this is going to be a great matchup. Two teams match up pretty well. West Virginia is not overly tall. I mean, they're a little bit taller, but only by an inch or so in average height. But I think this is a great matchup overall, very even. But I think somehow, some way, Iowa State sneaks away with a win.
I'm going to agree with you guys and take Iowa State. It's just really tough to bet against the Cyclones right now. They're playing so well. They're up to a 6 seed in my latest projections and are only going to keep moving up if they continue, grinding it out and getting the wins that they have. So, but yeah, really excited for that one. Should be a good one. And like you guys said, really pumped to have a really good game on a Friday night. All right, so some more Big 12 action here. Kansas traveling to Oklahoma State. This one's going to be Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. We'll start with you, Jonathan. What's your prediction for this one?
I'm going to have to go with Oklahoma State. Kansas, I think, they've locked up the Big 12. They've pretty much locked up a number one seed in the Midwest region. They don't have much to play for this game. And Oklahoma State can really prove themselves, improve their seeding a lot. Cowboys.
All right. Tyler?
I love watching Oklahoma State play at home. I love the atmosphere that they have out there. But I don't really think that's going to matter in this one. I got Kansas. Jonathan, you acknowledge that they really don't have much to play for, and that's probably true. And I think that's what leaves them vulnerable in this game. If Oklahoma State is going to pull this off, I just think Kansas is going to ride it out. Maybe they might not come out on fire or anything like that, but I feel like they'll weather the storm that Oklahoma State's going to bring early on. I feel like they'll be in it till the end, and I think they have what it takes to pull it out in a late victory. It won't be decisive, it won't be clear cut, but it's going to be a close one for Kansas.
All right, Sean.
Yeah, so looking at KenPom here, it says Oklahoma State against Kansas has the number one offensive efficiency rating, which really could come into play in this one, as we've seen. Oklahoma State really shoots the three ball well, and they got a lot of scores on their team. I mean, Juwan Evans, Phil Forte, all those guys. But, yeah, I think somehow, some way, Oklahoma State is also going to come away with this one. I believe it's senior night there in Oklahoma State, and as we've seen, some people believe that on Twitter that senior night should not count as a regular season game just because, but We don't really have to go in on that one, but I think Oklahoma State's going to come away with the victory. Going to be a lot of emotion in Stillwater. Going to be a crazy atmosphere. This is definitely going to be a game you want to keep an eye on. So I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one.
This is tough. I'm gonna have to go with Kansas though, because I feel like this is just gonna be a really close game, and there's no team that is better in close games than Kansas. And I mean, you guys are right. They don't have a ton to play for in this one, unlike Oklahoma State. But I don't really know. It's just really tough to pick against Kansas right now, and the role they are on and the way they play, and tight games with a lot of adversity like this one. All right, so we're going to move on to the next game, which is Florida traveling to Vanderbilt. That is Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. This is going to be an interesting one for Vanderbilt, who remains a bubble team despite having 14 losses. An absolute must-win for them if they want to stay alive. But we'll get to that later, maybe. We'll start off with you, Sean. What are your thoughts and prediction for this one?
So obviously Vanderbilt had a shaky start for the year, 8-10, and then they kind of started to turn things around a little bit, and somehow they're a bubble team in the NCAA tournament. Which, if you would have told me that a couple weeks ago or a month ago, I'd tell you no way. But I saw them play against Kentucky the other day, and I was impressed with Luke Cornett. Obviously, he was kind of coming into the year. One of the top big men in the country. I mean, he wasn't talked about too much, like the likes of Thomas Bryant and all those guys, but really he's played very well against Kentucky. I think it was Tuesday or Monday, I don't remember, but yeah, I like this Vanderbilt team. They got a lot of offensive weapons. Riley LeChance, he's a great player at the guard position, knows how to lead a team, and wasn't really rattled by those Kentucky guards at all. But then you got Florida, who obviously Casey Hill, Kayvon Allen. Kayvon Allen, one of the best scorers in college basketball as we've seen so far. But my only worry about that is who is Florida going to have score when Kayvon Allen's not playing well? As we saw in the Kentucky game last week, Kayvon Allen started out hot and Florida had a lead, and then he started to slow down a little bit, and then Kentucky started to get back into the game. But that's really my only concern with Florida as far as that goes. But I think in this one, actually, no, you know what? I'm going to go Florida in this one. I think they're going to find a way to squeak out a W. Vanderbilt has a lot to play for, like you said, Noah. But this could be either a confidence boost for Vanderbilt and boosting the resume, or a big win for Florida going into the SEC tournament, which would be huge for them. So I'm going to take the Gators in this one.
All right, Jonathan?
I'm going to take the Gators. I just think Vanderbilt emotionally is not going to get over the Kentucky game. They had a 19-point lead, led pretty much throughout the game, and let it slip away. I just don't think they'll come back emotionally ready to play this game. And looking at it, they have 14 losses. They're probably going to have to win this game and make a deep run in the SEC tournament just to make it. I don't see either of those things happening, and I got the Gators.
All right, Tyler?
I couldn't agree more with Jonathan in terms of his analysis of the end of the Kentucky game where they let that lead slip away. I think that was really it for them in terms of momentum to get that big win. I got the Gators in this one. I think they're going to end Vandy's if there's slim chances at an at-large bid. I'm just going to be 100% honest. I haven't been sold on Vandy's chances at actually stealing an at-large bid for a really long time now, and I think them being on the bubble for as long as they have kind of speaks to how weak the bubble is this year as opposed to in past years. But I got the Gators, and unless Vandy wins the SEC tournament at this point, they'll be in the NIT.
All right, I'm going to agree with you guys and pick Florida, but definitely interesting to think about what would our take on this, or how different would our take on this game be if Vanderbilt had been able to pull out that win against Kentucky. But
That would be really different.
I 100% agree with you, Jonathan. I don't really see how you can come back from, as crushing of a loss as that Kentucky one was.
Because that was their chance.
Yeah, and that was their chance. And, I'm gonna have to go with like I said, I'm gonna go with Florida. All right. So the final regular season game that we are going to be previewing, Duke at North Carolina. Get excited for this one. That is Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN, the much anticipated rematch. They always play on this weekend. Always a great thing to see. We'll start off with you, Jonathan. What is your pick for this one?
I'm kind of going back and forth with this one. Duke's been playing really well recently. I'm actually going to go North Carolina, though. I think at home they've been playing really well. I think Justin Jackson will have a great last game at North Carolina. I think he's going to the draft. I just think they'll get the dub.
All right, Sean.
Yeah, I think North Carolina is also going to take away this one. I mean, it's senior night, but really, I forget. I think it might have been Isaiah Hicks. He didn't play in the game at Cameron Indoor earlier in the year. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And he obviously makes a big difference down low. As we've seen, really, Duke only has Jefferson as a true big man down low. I mean, they have Jason Tatum, who's 6'8", and Harry Giles, but Emil Jefferson is really the only consistent, I'd say, big man. But yeah, I think North Carolina is in this one. I mean, granted, Duke's been playing very well recently. Frank Jackson is emerging himself as one of the best freshman point guards in the country. But yeah, I think North Carolina is just gonna be too much for the Dukies, so I'm gonna take the Tar Heels.
Yeah, I like what you said about Hicks. Probably the X factor in these teams' first meeting is that UNC just didn't do well on the boards like they used to. Um, you know, so with Hicks back for this one, plus UNC being at home, and they're also going to be pretty mad after getting embarrassed by my Virginia Cavaliers earlier this week.
Just had to sneak that in there.
I just think it spells trouble for Duke. So I'm going to take UNC in this one. All right, Tyler, let's get to you.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. As well as Duke has been playing, I think UNC is going to come out with a purpose after the loss to UVA at home. I like the Tar Heels in this one.
All right, so that's going to pretty much do it for this one. As always, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube. Really helps us out. You can also follow us on Twitter at CPP Gameday and follow the site on Twitter at EDU Pride Press. Also, keep stay tuned on our Twitter. We're going to be giving you guys some updates on our future plans for the rest of the season and what we're going to be doing with all that. So be sure to stay tuned there. But yeah, that's, like I said, that's pretty much going to do it. Signing off for now, your host, Noah Holly, joined alongside by my co-host, Sean Bach, and my other co-host, Tyler Cavaruso, as well as Jonathan Warner. Great having you on here, Jonathan.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks for listening, and good night.